previous regular episodes yet, the problem with the English GCSE, I mentioned the speeches that happened one day, but that it would be in a separate video so I wouldn't wreck my brain with the overestimated stress of video production. I did think of releasing that 5 years after I left high school so my sister could get information on the years I forgot, because the last thing I want is a very late part 2 to anything, but no. Stress became more of a factor than it was 9 months ago because of other things. Most of this episode is about the speeches we were supposed to make, and the rest of it's about what happened on the rest of that one day because I can't think of a better title. It's also old and anecdotal, so the citation thing isn't going to happen. At the end of October of my year 11, 5th year high school year 5, final year or whatever they're calling it today, my millionth English teacher we had, what's the problem with the English GCSE for more information, decided to tell us we had to write speeches for the 1st of November with no prior warning. She didn't tell us what they were supposed to be or how to write speeches. We had no prior knowledge of any extra requirements for our English GCSEs because there's 2! Watch it! The exams were all we thought we had to do. Would you know what you were doing if that was all the information you were given? Probably not. They gave us some presentation explaining what we had to do. I don't have it anymore because this episode was meant for 2 years ago. However, the twat teaching us didn't show us the slide that says we were supposed to have 2 weeks to prepare for it, or that we needed to make presentations. We only got 2 hours! The other sets got nothing! In terms of grading, it was past merit distinction after being filmed and sent to the shitty exam board. That footage probably still exists and it'll get sent to randos who are somehow capable of finding addresses with nothing but a legal name! We were told they would mark it and send it back or something. My teacher told us this and then immediately gave us all merit except for one person who got a distinction randomly. Let me repeat, the teacher told us the exam board would mark the speeches somewhere in the UK, then she immediately marked them herself. Well then, that school comprised of lies and lazy birds, who would have known? What happened on the rest of the day? There were these fake interviews we were even less prepared for, random presentations about apprenticeships that weren't about apprenticeships, and making us pretend to apply to colleges. My timetable was the interviews followed by the speeches, then apprenticeships, pretend college applications during which nobody fucking knew what they were doing, then a speech by Andy Reid about the generic hard work and determination stuff we've all heard a million times before. I get what he was trying to say, but high school apathy levels are far too high for that to make a difference, especially if everybody's only there because they don't have a choice. In the interviews, we were forced to answer questions that were way too personal for any sane person to ask unless they were pretending to try to be your friend, such as what are your personal qualities? And some bullshit about what you did in your spare time, when some of us didn't get spare time and it was none of their business why! They didn't even fucking tell us what we were pretending to apply for. His mentality extended forward to the crap the college I ended up going to, trying to make us carry out for employability, that involved somehow writing generic CVs with nothing on them because our GCSEs were cancelled, whilst telling us that every CV had to be tailored specifically towards one job you apply for! Which one is it?! Skipping the speeches, the apprenticeship presentation confused us even more about what you can and can't do at college, told us we could end education at 16 when the same organisation had previously told us it was fucking 20, further blurred the line between A-level and B-Tech, made everyone get how the bloody institutions worked. I am not joking! The first thing they had us do was cut up bits of paper with truths and lies about what you can and can't do in college and university, and put them in squares on other bits of paper based on what we thought was true and false. They made us guess! Then they gave us information that was completely contradictory to all the other things we were told by people who worked at colleges. I'm not going to tell you what it was because it was bullshit. No, I've pseudo-completed a course at college and I still don't get how it works. And I fucking left! They used to say you can't get away with using your phone or talking in class at college, but everybody stopped caring by that point as long as you pass. While they still tell you that you're on course for distinction when you clearly can't even get a merit. Questions for later. The next thing I witnessed that day was some generic-ass crap from the head of science telling everyone to have backup plans. How very helpful when some of us don't even have a clue what we're doing because we don't think any of it's worth the effort. Then he made us apply for colleges when most of us didn't even know what jobs could make use of all those GCSEs that we would never complete! Do not expect a person to apply for something without telling them what works and what won't be accepted! Don't even get me started on how the fucking things are made redundant anyway! If there's one thing I hate the most, it's wasted time. Second place goes to feeling like you're about to fucking die on that specific day for no reason, and nobody letting you delay everything to a time when you're capable of concentrating. That happened on the same day all this so-called enrichment took place. It lasted all fucking week, because stress does not end when the cause goes away. If your memory works, it lasts until you die! What pissed me off the most was that the day wasn't mentioned in school since. A single time! Might have had something to do with the fact this video's coming after 2022 and it's describing events for 2019. Or how unimportant they made getting a fucking job seem! If this was any worse, I would have lost more of my ability to talk to people, and it would have gone past the point of no return much earlier than it did. This extension to the English GCSE has no reason to exist in its current state, and it embarrasses those who care about the subject it involves. The incredibly fake tasters of the real world reveal part of how shit work can be, making you try your hardest to not participate in the system of deadly assigned numbers for as long as possible, by convincing you that if you give two fucks about the functionality of your brain, that none of anything serious you've done was ever worth it! The entire system is like this to people who actively care about anything based on facts about physics! Just watch the original episode.